Kirby and the Forgotten Land is the latest installment in the Kirby franchise. This would be the first Kirby to introduce 3D excluding spin-offs, and let me just say, it is absolutely sensational. The game was developed by HAL Labs for the Nintendo Switch. Kirby and the Forgotten Land, we'll say KFL going forward, is an excellent jumping in point for players new to Kirby, such as myself, for players who are accustomed to the Kirby experience. KFL is a wonderful and charming game filled with creativity, which excels at combining exploration with Kirby's unique gameplay style, although not the open world style that many thought when the game was initially revealed in 2021. KFL is the 13th installment of the mainline series, directed by Shinya Kumazaki, who is a video game designer, graphic designer, and chief director for HAL Labs. Kumazaki has been involved in the Kirby series for around 20 years, and has served as the general director for the series since Kirby Planet Robobot. KFL will be co-directed by Tatsuya Kamiyama, who is the planner at HAL Labs, who joined in 2006 and has worked on most Kirby titles on directional roles. This would be his first ever title as a director. These two did a remarkable job. Hirokazu Ando composed the music, which comes as no surprise. Ando is a veteran composer for HAL Labs. He joined the company in 1991 and since then has worked mostly in several titles in the Kirby series. He was also the composer of the first Super Smash Bros. Some of my favorite tracks include Ready to Go, Invasion at the House of Horror, Metro on Ice, and Winter Horns. When you get time, pop those tunes on and it's guaranteed to burst those speakers into flames. Many levels offer great depth that will lead to players replaying to find hidden paths and secrets to fulfill all the hidden objectives to complete the game. With dense levels and an abundance of abilities, a plethora of minigames, multiple difficulty options, collectibles, and co-op play, KFL is a complete package that offers a ton of replayability. Kirby's graphics are exciting as long as you don't look in the background. They do what is expected for the Nintendo Switch, and plenty more. The graphics contribute plenty to the environment of the game. And with it being the first 3D installment in the series, it gives off a sensational new and updated feel to a 30-year-old series. This game has many environments including grass, water, circus, snow, desert, and lava. They are truly all done so well, which really does make this game a joy to play. Before the release of the new game, the Kirby series was on the decline. Kirby Star Allies was heavily criticized for a lack of proper gameplay and a strain for what made the series what it is today. Credit where credit is due, the Kirby series bounced back astoundingly, as the gameplay in KFL is beautiful. Kirby can perform all the basic actions as he normally could, and they were implemented beautifully in a 3D environment. The game follows the formula of reaching the end goal location of each stage, where Kirby frees captured Waddle Dees. Waddle Dee Town functions as the main hub for Kirby and his allies. In it, Kirby can unlock various structures as he frees more Waddle Dees by completing stages and their missions, which can unlock sub-games. There's a good amount of minigames at Waddle Dee Town, plus access to uncover more collectibles reminiscent of trophies in Smash Bros. Many of the minigames are actually far more challenging than one may initially envision in a Kirby game. For example, Cafe Manager can get very chaotic with several options to choose from during the game, plus a fast-moving clock to deliver food to customers, another where you have to roll a metal ball to the goal at a specific time. This minigame level 3 gave me some troubles at first.
Flashback.
What the f***, dude? It was a pain in the ass. Additionally, Kirby can spend currency for collectible capsules, which I just love how they call these gacha machines. Or you can talk to the wise Waddle Dee for online player records and advice on where collectibles are. At Waddle Dee's weapon shop, Kirby can evolve his copy abilities into evolved abilities, allowing them to become more powerful. A list of all abilities are as follows: Bomb, Crash, Cutter, Drill, Fire, Hammer, Ice, Needle, Ranger, Sleep, Sword, and Tornado. To upgrade them, you have to explore to find blueprints and complete treasure row for rare stones, as well as have enough star coins to purchase the upgrade. Furthermore, Kirby also gains a new ability separate from copy abilities in the form of Mouthful Mode, which requires Kirby to partially inhale portions of the environment around him in order to proceed further. If Kirby has assumed a copy ability, he will keep that ability while using Mouthful Mode. One of the main selling points was the key addition of Mouthful Mode, and a plethora of new abilities for the player to enjoy. Mouthful Mode is where Kirby obtains the form of many objects and gains power according to what he sucks. Kirby can now become an arch, big rig, car, coaster, cone, dome, light bulb, pipe, ring, scissor lift, stairs, storage, vending machine, and lastly, a water balloon. Kirby's standard moves have been adjusted to work in 3D, his dodge receiving a major overhaul. Like in previous games, Kirby can dodge by moving while guarding, but the distance he makes in doing so is increased. In addition, Kirby can achieve a perfect dodge by dodging right before an enemy or obstacle can attack him, briefly slowing down everything around him. In the case of perfectly dodging an enemy, he has the chance to to apply some extra damage, especially if he wields a copy ability, as you might have seen me do in my speedruns. Yes, I speedrun this game. Now we couldn't talk about gameplay without mentioning two-player mode, for which this game won the Game Awards for the best family game. Player 1 tackles the wolf pack as Kirby, and player 2 controls Bandana Waddle Dee. Bandana Waddle Dee has the same basic movement options as Kirby, but it's limited to his own unique moveset. I think Bandana Waddle Dee gets slept on. I love the variety of attacks he has. This dude is a beast with his spear. Step aside, shy guy. Bandana Waddle Dee has taken your throne. The strength and effectiveness of the moveset changes accordingly to the evolution level of Kirby's current copy ability. When sharing healing items, Kirby and Bandana Waddle Dee will high-five each other instead of the former mouth-to-mouth transfer. Bandana Waddle Dee will place himself on top of Kirby while he is using certain mouthful modes and can shoot spears at enemies. In addition, some sub-games at Waddle Dee Town can be played in co-op, although I didn't particularly care for it. My only complaint with two-player is that they didn't add it for the treasure roads. Those can only be done on solo player. Speaking of treasure road, throughout the world map, dimensional rifts leading to the treasure road challenges can appear by beating stages, searching spots, or saving enough Waddle Dees. Each challenge tests the player by often focusing on a copy ability, evolved ability, or mouthful mode, rewarding the player with the rare stone the first time a challenge is completed. Completing a challenge within the target time rewards the player with 50 additional star coins. Any treasure road challenge related to evolved abilities requires that the evolved ability be fully unlocked first. The challenge is otherwise inaccessible. KFL also allows the player to choose the difficulty of the game. Spring Breeze mode, an easier, more relaxed difficulty where Kirby has more health, or Wild mode, a slightly harder difficulty where Kirby has less health, which in turn rewards the player with 50 more star coins after a stage or challenge is completed. Unlike most previous Kirby games, this game lacks a life system, meaning that 1-ups do not appear. When Kirby runs out of health, he loses 100 star coins instead. Did they get inspiration from Mario Odyssey? Are games doing away with the life system? Time will tell. The best part of Kirby game is experiencing and experimenting with all the different abilities Kirby can steal from most of the enemies in the game. Not only are there different abilities, but they can be evolved at the weapon shop in Waddle Dee Town, which is a separate hub for the player to explore as it evolves by saving Waddle Dees in the story mode. Different abilities have different movesets / powers, which of all have unique animations and are really impressive. Not only does this impact combat encounters, but also how the player can interact with the different environments during levels. This is a major reason exploration is such a joy and will keep players on their toes, wondering about possibilities and which abilities are necessary for certain objectives. As expected from a Nintendo game like this, there are great locations to vary the scenery. The usual location players expect from something like a Super Mario 3D game, but with a unique spin because of the post-apocalyptic nature that helps drive curiosity and make for the fun exploration opportunities. Regarding performance, Kirby's a smooth experience throughout. The art style is perfect for Switch and almost feels like playing a cartoon. The game looks vibrant, especially when playing on the Switch OLED. The different camera angles go a long way in smartly breaking up the flow of the game to avoid things becoming stale. Nintendo knows how to maximize its games through fantastic art direction and animations, complete with some of the most graphically intensive games in the industry. Overall, the gameplay and graphics intertwine perfectly, all mechanics are fun to play, and there just doesn't seem to be a point when the game is boring while in control of the pink puffball. The game starts with Kirby minding his own business until the sky turns off light mode and goes ominously black. A star-shaped hole forms inside and sucks up everything, just like your boy on the weekends. During all of this, Kirby is riding a warp star to stay safe whilst being sucked until he crashes into a tree, catapulting him into the star. Kirby collides to the ground forcefully and loses consciousness. Kirby then wakes up on a beach, looking like the Crash Bandicoot opening. Upon further explanation, he finds himself in an apocalyptic abandoned city. We discover our first mouthful mode here, as Kirby inhales an entire car and takes the form of one. The real question is, if Kirby's outside with the car inside, what is pushing the pedals? Do we even want to know, HAL Labs? After a short travel, Kirby finds Waddle Dees, a familiar creature in the past, locked in a cage and being carried away by birds. Kirby then discovers a rundown town that was built by the Waddle Dees. Kirby then meets a companion named Elflin, also trapped in a cage. After freeing Elflin from the wolf pack, Kirby obtains his objective. He must free the Waddle Dees and defeat the Beast Pack, which is a nickname given to the bosses. As Kirby and Elflin gain progress through the journey, the town slowly sees progress in being rebuilt. King Kong, sorry, I mean Gorimondo, is the first boss you fight, and he's practically not even there, he's so easy. Next up is Tropic Woods, aka Soul Patch. Burn that tree to the ground to make our way to the carnival. The next main boss is Coraline, aka Gia or Vega, who can give you trouble but shouldn't be much of a worry. Just be sure to track her eyes and constantly be moving. After a while, we find Kirby's old pal, King Dedede, aka Schnidog. He's a bit harder than the rest, but once again, no problems. If you didn't catch on, the mainline story bosses are easy as cake. Kirby knocks Schnidog out in a winning effort, but while Kirby is distracted celebrating his win, Dedede says, "Gimme that." and takes Elflin, sparking a new journey to save Kirby's companion. Making her way to save her captured friend Elflin. After a bit of a journey through a desert land, Kirby finds Elflin, or so he thought, as it turns out to be a trap set up by Silly Dillo, aka Silly Dildo, to lure Kirby into a fight. Not so surprisingly, Kirby wins yet again. However, this time this was a bit of a challenge, at least for me. While it wasn't incredibly difficult, this dude presented me with my first challenge in a boss fight. Kirby then has to rematch all past bosses, and after beating them, he is brought to King Schnidog. Kirby, with his Waddle Dee friends, then fights a supercharged Schnidog while stronger than before. Due to a mask on his face, Schnidog returns to normal upon being defeated, and thanks to Kirby for saving him as he is now on our team. This is where the story actually picks up and provides the most context for why things are happening so abruptly in Popstar, or rather, why we're in this apocalyptic world. The celebration is shortly lasted though, as Kirby's party is quickly surrounded by the rest of the Beast Pack. Fleeing to an elevator, a Waddle Dee stumbles, Schnidog stops, picks the Waddle Dee up, and flings him into the elevator, saving the Waddle Dee but leaving himself stranded in the room with the rest of the Beast Pack. Schnidog made the most honorable sacrifice to take on the entire Beast Pack all by himself to save Kirby and all the Waddle Dees. As he rides the elevator, a pre-recorded message welcomes Kirby to Lab Discoveria, a science facility that contains the ultimate life form IDF-86. Goku? The message goes on to state the specimen almost destroys the new world, before being captured by the planet's original inhabitants. While studying the specimen, a warp experiment incident had occurred, causing a new entity to break off the subject, dubbed IDF-87, which we know as Elflin. This subspecimen escaped the facility and has yet to be recovered. As the elevator rises, Kirby witnesses hundreds of Waddle Dees being made to run in hamster wheels, providing power to the facility. As the intercom explains that IDF-86 has been in a state of permanent stasis ever since the loss of the subspecimen. The elevator comes to a halt and opens up. Kirby proceeds down a hallway to specimen IDF-86 viewing chamber, where he encounters Leonger, aka Alex the Lion. I think Cal Labs is a fan of Madagascar. Leonger is the leader of the Beast Pack. He explains that the original inhabitants of the New World use IDF-86's power to abandon the planet and travel to a land of dreams, hence Kirby's world, Planet Popstar. He hopes to gain the same power for the Beast Pack once he reunites the specimen with its missing half, none other than Elflin, who is trapped in a capsule next to it. Vowing to feast on Kirby's ass, Leonger engages Kirby in a battle. During the battle, he happens to become possessed by the specimen, increasing his power at the cost of his sanity. Despite this, Alex the Lion is defeated, being sent flying through his throne and skidding into IDF-86 containment chamber. As Kirby frees our buddy Elflin from his capsule, Leonger suddenly wakes up, but only so the specimen, now identifying itself as Vector Forgo, can speak through him. It curses Kirby for ruining his plans, explaining that it opened the vortexes over Popstar in order to find a workforce to give itself more energy and assist the Beast Pack in reuniting with Elflin. Its desire to annihilate everything, it breaks out of the chamber and turns into the sludge of nightmares. Seriously, this dude was creepy as hell. I had nightmares of this freak. Several Beast Pack members arrive to fight Kirby, but instead find themselves being absorbed by Vector Forgo. Kirby and Elflin scout out as if Shaggy and Scooby just saw a ghost. Once Kirby causes his body to break down, Vector Forgo somehow manages to grab Elflin with a tentacle, reabsorbing him to restore to the original form, Vecto Elfilus. The big-time boss fight then initiates, as Vecto Elfilus is challenged. Dude went full Super Saiyan after being possessed. He can be quite a challenge actually. The key to beating him is to constantly guard, wait for him to attack to then hit him with whichever copy ability you chose. After defeating the monstrosity, you can rip Elflin out of its possessed body and return it to its former self. However, Elflin's possessed body remains alive and intact, and opens up a portal in the sky. It is in bad intent though, as Vecto Elfilus is trying to crash Kirby's old world into this new world. We see the last mouthful mode here, as with Kirby's old world, Planet Popstar, crashing in, he inhales a semi-truck and chases down Vecto Elfilus. This seemingly defeats Vecto Elfilus. Kirby wakes up in his old world, but before everything is good, he can see the rift still open, and his world is still thrashing into an awful world he just escaped from. Elflin desperately attempts to save both worlds and closes the rift, emotionally thanking Kirby before the rift is shut. I personally thought Elflin sacrificed himself to do such. I was pretty shocked, but in fact, he's not dead after appeared to be. He just hits him with the "Say" and appears in another portal. Like, damn, how many portals there gotta be? Got Rick and Morty beat over here. From here, it's pretty much happily ever after, and that concludes the main game. There is a moderately fun and lengthy post-game as well, where you can return to all the worlds from before and collect souls in order to save Leonger from being possessed. You also defeat Elfilus once and for all. Kirby isn't known for its storytelling, but I thought it was a decent story with a great ending. And that's the end of this one. So at the end of these videos, I give the games a personalized rating 1 out of 10. This one gets a resounding 9.5 out of 10. Overall, this was a mouthful to make. Get it? Mouthful. Leave those suggestions for the next game down below. If I didn't cover something really unique, put that down below too. If you enjoyed this video, check these others out. Look forward to the next time, and that's all I have for today's episode of SchniCritic.